What's up, everybody? It's Keone here. Welcome back to Safe and Sober.
We may come from all over, but we all face the same challenges at school, at home, and with our friends.
Today's program is about alcohol and how small decisions about drinking can have lasting impacts.
First, we're going to learn the science behind alcohol. What is it? What does it do? And how does it affect the teenage brain?
Then we're going to drop by real-life conversations and listen to our peers share some real stories from their own experience.
And finally, we'll listen from someone who wishes they could turn back the clock and change the past.
This is Safe and Sober.
Did you guys know that an average young person in America sees at least 1,000 ads about alcohol in America? Keep in mind, that is at least 3 ads a day.
Alcohol is everywhere you look. It's part of American culture.
It's on television, in restaurants, and in grocery stores.
We're definitely familiar with it, but what do we as teenagers know about it?
It turns out that most people don't really know too much about alcohol and booze and all the science behind it. So we made this video that breaks it down just for you. Check it out.
Welcome back to Be Careful Out There, Teens, the show where adults constantly remind you to be careful. I'm your host, Aaron Fortson, and today's show is about alcohol, what it is and how it can ruin your life. Today we have with us renowned alcohol scientist, Dr. Dax Brober.
That's right, Aaron. I'm Dr. Dax Brober. Let's keep it sober with Brober.
Cool catchphrase.
Thank you. See, sober and Brober rhyme. Makes it sound cool.
Yeah, we get it. Dr. Brober, can you explain to all the teens out there watching this, what exactly is alcohol and why do they need to be careful?
Well, Aaron, alcohol is nothing more than a chemical compound. It's the common ingredient found in all adult beverages. Ethanol is another name for alcohol. It can be used as fuel in cars, airplanes, and rockets.
Wow, so the same stuff that's in beer can also be used to fuel cars?
Technically, that's correct.
Yikes.
But that's not all. Alcohol is also a carcinogen.
What's a carcinogen, Dr. Brober?
A carcinogen. Let's all say it together. Carcinogen.
I'm not going to do that.
Fair enough. A carcinogen is a substance that causes cancer.
Cancer?
Yes, cancer. Consuming alcohol raises your risk of getting mouth cancer, throat cancer, esophagus cancer, colon cancer, liver cancer, and breast cancer in women.
I had no idea. Why doesn't anyone talk about this, Dr. Brober?
I don't know. Lots of people drink, and I'm guessing they just don't like to think about getting mouth, throat, esophagus, colon, liver, or breast cancer.
Yeah, that's probably true. So why do teens specifically need to be careful?
Thought you would never ask.
That was literally the first question that I asked you.
Good point. The human brain continues to develop well into your 20s. So if you're in high school, the brain literally isn't finished developing. It's still in the works.
Wait a minute, Dr. Brober, are you saying that high schoolers aren't completely rational human beings?
That's true, but that's not what I'm saying. See, the human brain is like a cake that takes over 20 years to bake. You can really damage the cake if you take it out early and start injecting it with poison. There are 2 parts of the teenage brain that are specifically damaged by underage drinking: the hippocampus and the frontal lobe. The hippocampus helps us make and recall memories and knowledge. It's damaged and 10% smaller in teens that drink heavily. And the frontal lobe helps us reason and make good decisions. Underage drinking can shrink this as well.
Wow, that's terrible, Dr. Brober.
I know. And the worst part is that the damage can be permanent. Underage drinking can not just hurt your ability to make memories and recall knowledge, it can set you back your entire life, especially if you engage in binge drinking.
What is binge drinking? Explain that to the teens out there.
Binge drinking is consuming a large amount of alcohol in a small amount of time. Doing so puts more alcohol in your body than it can process. See, alcohol travels through your bloodstream and into your brain where it blocks signals from your brain cells. This causes blurred vision, delayed reaction time, and impulsive behavior. The more you drink, the more impaired you are. That's why it's so dangerous to drink and drive, and a really bad idea to get in a car with someone who is drunk. Binge drinking leads to severe intoxication, blackouts, alcohol poisoning, and eventually death.
Okay, so it's illegal, it causes cancer, we can use it to fuel cars, and it can permanently damage your brain, and it can kill you. Is there anything else that you wanted to tell us?
There sure is. Over 80,000 people in the United States die every year from alcohol-related causes. It's the third most common cause of preventable deaths.
Wow, Dr. Brober, I gotta be honest, this interview is way more depressing than I had anticipated. Can you please just tell all the teens out there, what are they supposed to do?
Sure. Hey, teens. Don't drink.
That's it?
Yep. It's that simple. Wait until you're 21. I'm Dr. Dax Brober, reminding you to keep it sober. With Brober.
That's not really your last name, is it?
No, my name is Winston Berger, but that doesn't rhyme with sober.
Okay, well, I think that's all the time we have for this week. Coming up next week, we have a special interview with your parents, reminding you not to talk to strangers on Snapchat. Until next time, be careful out there, teens.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that guy was a real scientist.
Either way, that was a lot of information. So if you can't remember what you just learned, you can share it with friends and visit it again at safeandsober.org.
Question: what happens whenever you give a room full of teenagers microphones and ask them to make a podcast about words on a television screen?
Well, we're about to find out in this next segment we call Peer to Peer.
I'm Sophia, and I'm a senior.
I'm Joe, and I'm also a senior.
I'm Brooke, and I'm a senior.
I'm James, and I'm also a senior.
Okay, so the question is, why do you think your classmates drink?
Honestly, I think my classmates drink because it makes them feel cool. Like they just want to be a part of something, I guess. I don't know. It makes them feel like they have a spot with like the in crowd or whatever.
Yeah. I think it's like an acceptance thing. Like I have some friends that are starting to hang out with college people and they're starting to get drunk with them. And it's like, you guys are doing it just so you can get in with like the college crowd before you guys go.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also people find self-worth in alcohol and people find it like they get a sense of joy and happiness from it.
What are the opinions on alcohol where you live?
I think for me, the opinions are pretty relaxed on alcohol, except for in my actual house. Like my grandparents are pretty big drinkers, and so they raised my parents like in that environment. But my parents like recognized that it was something that was like not great for their health, so I've kind of adapted my parents' view on it. So
I'd say when I was younger, it was really relaxed, but like the older I've gotten, I don't know why my parents like they've kind of like slowed down with like hanging out with people that drink, I guess, and like they don't really drink at all anymore, and they've kind of like taught me to be like against it. They've just been like nothing good comes out of it. So I mean, it's a pretty big like no in our house.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on what circle you run in. Because, you know, when you're at school, there's different opinions about it than when you're, you know, with your family or, you know, even the side of town that you're on has different opinions on it. My family is pretty relaxed about it. I mean, they don't want me to do it, but they never said, you know, when you're of age, you can't. How dangerous is alcohol?
I've met people who've told me about how they can get like 50 beers for like under $50. So that's what's really dangerous for me is like how accessible it is to people and how like easily people can take advantage of it.
And I think that people sometimes they'll put drugs in one category and they'll put alcohol in another category. And they think that alcohol is so much safer than drugs when really they're both almost just as dangerous. If not, alcohol can be more dangerous than some drugs can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just because it's not illegal doesn't mean you can not get hurt from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So how do you guys handle peer pressure?
I know I'm extremely stubborn in general, so I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do. And especially drinking, if I know it's going to affect my future, I don't want to be an alcoholic. So why would I do alcohol just because someone told me to?
It's really my mom who kind of like pushes that. Like she's very conscious of my health and how I spend my time. I mean, I feel like if I didn't have my mom, then I would be peer pressured pretty easily. But like being raised by her, I definitely feel like I have like a defensive line of like things to say and like things to do to get out of situations where I know that it will end up being bad or like end up getting me into a bad situation. So it's my mom, honestly.
I had a few friends that actually like when I started to realize that they were doing that, I kind of did have like a little bit of resentment towards them because I was like, now I don't feel like I don't know. Now I just feel like there's like a separation there. Like I don't feel as close to them as before.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
What influences you not to drink?
Definitely my family.
Yeah, I agree.
I just feel like I have so many things that I value over drinking that if I did choose to drink, I would lose trust I would just lose so many relationships.
When we talk about like, I don't want to lose friends from drinking. And it's like, if you lose friends because you're drinking, it's not because they don't care about you. It's just you have to surround yourself with people who do care about you enough to make sure you don't drink. And to lose those relationships of the people who really do care about you and don't want you to drink and get hurt, that would be a big deal. Along with losing control. I know a big thing for me is having control and having freedom. And if I were to drink, and someone were to find out, I would lose freedoms, I would lose control, I could lose control of my mind, my body. You never know what you're going to do.
What do your friends need to know about drinking?
I think that the easiest thing to say is that it's dangerous and that it can definitely affect you later in life, and not just not be like close-minded about the effects of drinking, and that it's definitely something that can affect you throughout your entire life. It's not something that's gonna like just end after drinking one night.
I feel like a lot of people seek self-worth and self-value in alcohol, and people need to know that that's not where your worth and your value comes from. It comes from yourself and who you are and who you think you are.
I just say, just wait until you're of age. What are you going to miss out on? Partying, being put in dangerous situations. Like, all you're gonna miss out on is being around people who don't want the best for you if you're drinking underage.
Thank you so much to everyone for sharing their advice and experiences.
It can be really helpful to learn from people who have already faced the same challenges that we're going through right now.
It can be eye-opening for someone our age who wishes they could go back in time and have a second chance.
In this next segment, we're going to meet Cassidy, where she shares her story about alcohol, how it's affected her life, and what we can do and make this a learning experience. Check it out.
I had driven after a few drinks before, and I wouldn't drive after a lot. I mean, I know, not to drive drunk. It wasn't something that I thought I was doing. People my age, they think that it can't happen to them. And it's not about you. It doesn't matter if it can't happen to you. It can happen to somebody else. My name is Cassidy Lance, and I am 24 years old. My friend who was in the service was back, and so me and him and my other friend went to the bowling alley. We had a few drinks, and I had 3 drinks, and I guess one was a double, so 4. And I dropped him off at his house, and I drove back and got in my wreck. So I remember stopping. I was in a turning lane to turn, and I stopped because it was a red light. But I looked up and I thought I saw green, which I'm guessing was the go straight, not the turning. So I started to go, and I mean, immediately I saw lights heading towards me, but there was nothing I could do in that. The impact, I mean, it was completely silent, and everything was just in slow motion. I mean, I felt my Jeep flip, and I just remember like just sitting there like staring forward, and I mean, I knew it was gonna happen, so I kind of braced myself and held on to the steering wheel and tightened up, and it was just the slowest, like I can't even explain the feeling. It was she was knocked unconscious. Her van hit me head on. I mean, it hit my passenger side, so I didn't really get the bulk of it. She did. So her whole van, like, encaved onto her. The cops showed up, and I walked them through what I had known to have happened, and they assessed the scene, and I actually asked for one of their phones to call my dad to come pick me up. Then they asked me to do a field sobriety test. My dad was waiting for me, and he got to watch me get arrested. So it took a year to finally finish. I was in court every few months. I actually got to talk to her at my last court date when the final decision was made. She said something that will stick with me forever, and it was just, we all make mistakes, some bigger than others. But that doesn't mean that we can't change or learn from them. I still have a DWI. I mean, it was $10,000 later. I will be doing community service. I have 150 hours, so that'll be a lot of time spent. I'll be on probation for the next 2 years. A $10 versus a $30 Uber, no matter how far you're going, that's nothing compared to $10,000 in somebody's life. It's not worth it. One drink isn't worth it.
young. We feel like these kinds of things will never happen to us. Maybe to other people, but not to us.
And that's how Cassidy felt too. She never thought that she would be in that situation, just like us. Turns out, she ended up being the exact person that she never thought that she would be.
That's just how our brains are naturally wired. But just because we feel like it won't happen to us doesn't mean it won't.
We need to remember that little decisions can completely change our future plans.
The truth is, this could happen to anyone.
But we can choose what we let influence us.
And we can choose the kind of influence that we're gonna be.
So in our last video, we asked, what does influence mean to you?
When I think about influence, being a high schooler and all, I think about trends.
So whatever's trending, whatever's cool.
Really trying to fit in with the crowd.
It's important to know who and what is influencing you because it can change you.
I've seen a lot of people and how it can negatively affect them.
Successful.
I want to have a happy and successful future.
And I don't want a mistake to ruin all of that.
And just getting caught up in drinking and alcohol now would really stop my progress towards my goals and dreams.
It's just not worth it.
It is your future, your life. It's in your hands.
You have this young and reckless mindset. You just want to live, have fun.
They could cause detrimental damage to your life and health.
It just becomes such a natural part of high school to be influenced by commercials and celebrities that people don't really know that it's happening to them.
They don't know what is actually influencing them.
Because that can overall affect the person that you become and how others portray you.
We as humans are not meant to be like everyone else. We're meant to be individuals. We're meant to be unique. If I could influence someone in some way, shape, or form, it would be to be themselves.